so I don't think I'll be able to get into every specific question in this particular presentation, but we can always be in touch by email, or we can have a strategy call after if there's something specific that you wanted to cover that I didn't go through today, okay? So just a few little rules for the webinar. If you guys can all just keep your microphones off, that would be great, just so we don't pick up any background noise during the presentation. Please save any questions as well that you have for the end. If you think of something and you're scared you might forget it, please feel free to drop it in the chat, and I will get to it at the end when we do our little Q&A session. And like I said, at the end, I'll reply to as many as I can, and if we can't get to those questions today, I will get back to you guys by email between today and tomorrow. Okay, so I'm Jaimee. I recognize a few of you. I see a few familiar faces and names, but I'm one of the college and student advisors here at Beyond the States. I've been working with Beyond the States for about 2 years now, and before working with Beyond the States, I worked in Europe. I was based in Ireland, managing Erasmus and international programs for students in Spain, Italy, Ireland, and France. So that's a little bit of background on myself. I have quite a bit of experience in international education. I'm a huge believer in it. I think it's a great way to expand your horizons and try something new. So I love international education. So hopefully this can help you guys demystify a few things today. Okay, so first of all, why consider Europe? So when students come to us, there's so many different reasons why they're considering Europe. Some of them might be interested in a cultural experience. Some of them might be interested in the shorter degrees that they can access in Europe, with bachelor's degrees often being 3 years instead of 4, master's degrees often being 1 year instead of 2. So it's a great way to kind of condense your education, get it done a little bit quicker. Tuition is a huge reason why people come to us as well. The tuition is significantly cheaper than you would find in the US. So that's one of the reasons why people come as well. Like I said, the international experience is something that people love. Being in Europe, getting to get out of your hometown, getting to be in a different country, different continent, traveling to other countries and continents on the weekends is very attractive for a lot of students. So that's something, a reason why people love to travel there and do their education there. Admissions for everyone. So we will get into this a little bit more in detail, but there are several levels of admission requirements. So there's lower barrier admissions and there's higher barrier admissions. So there's really something for everyone. So students that might not necessarily be comfortable taking standardized tests can find admissions to programs in Europe where this might not be required. So that's another reason why someone comes to us as well. And globally recognized degrees, of course. So a day in the life, what's it like to study in Europe? So in Europe, there's typically fewer class hours per week. Usually you might only have 10 to 15 hours per week, with any extra time that you might be doing your classwork will be in group projects or with other students, a lot of independent study, okay? So independent learning is key in Europe as well. A lot of these programs really want you to be independent, learn how to, manage your own time and manage your own workload. City-based campuses as well, and even campuses based in small towns, so they're not necessarily a dorm bubble. So oftentimes the students won't be living and doing everything on campus. So it's a little bit more, it's a different experience. You get to be in the city, you get to go and do things outside of campus. So some students might want to do that. You'll have diverse classmates from all over the world. So of course, there will be other international students, not just from Europe, but you'll find lots of students from Asia, from Africa, other American students as well. So it's a great way to build an international and global network. And like I said earlier, weekends, you have very cheap travel and cultural immersion in not just the country that you'd be studying in, but in other countries as well. So studying in Europe, who is it a good fit for? So it's definitely a great fit for independent learners who are ready for a challenge, students that want to get out of their comfort zone and try something new. Budget-conscious families looking for more value as well. So like we discussed earlier, the tuition is significantly cheaper than it is in Europe, with cost of living in the cities can be quite reasonable as well. So it's great if you're looking to get a high-quality degree on a budget. Adventurous students who are open to new cultures and experiences, and students with solid academics. They don't need to be perfect either. So like I said, there's varying levels of admissions barriers. So it's great for students like that, and families who want a clear, personalized plan. So the programs in Europe tend to be very well structured. So it's great for students who want a very structured academic path. Okay, so some myth busting on studying in Europe. So one of the myths is I need to speak another language. No, you don't. It's of course a bonus if you do. If you're living in a country, it's always nice to, learn that language, speak a little bit of it outside of the classroom. But as far as the academics go, we currently represent over 3,000 bachelor's programs that are taught entirely in English. So every course, every assignment, everything that you're going to be doing is going to be in English. So you don't need to worry about that. That's a big concern a lot of students share with us when they're very early in the process. They're worried that they might need to learn another language and try to do coursework in a different language, which can be quite challenging, but it's not the case. So there's plenty of English taught programs that are available in Europe. Another one that we hear quite often is it's not as good as US colleges. This is also a myth. I mean, the schools in Europe are excellent. They are globally ranked, they're academically rigorous, they're well recognized. So they're just as good as US colleges, sometimes even better, if you ask me. So you have some great programs there. Yeah. It's too expensive to live there. So tuition on average of the students that I've been working with lately have been about 8,000 to 15,000 euro per year. That's the average. There are, of course, schools that offer cheaper tuition. So if you look at countries in Eastern Europe, you can find tuition for maybe 5,000 euro per year or less. There's also some schools that are more expensive. Some schools might go up to 30,000 euro, but the average at the moment that I'm seeing is between 8,000 to 15,000 per year. Cost of living is often lower in European cities than in American ones as well. So that's something to take into consideration. It won't be recognized back home, so that's also a myth. The degrees follow the Bologna process and are recognized worldwide. So if you get a degree in Europe, you will be able to come back to the US. You can apply to graduate school in the US. You can go to another country as well. These degrees are very, well recognized, so there's no worries there. The only thing where you might have a few extra hoops to jump through is if you're looking at anything that requires licensure. Okay, so if you wanted to come back to the US after pursuing a nursing degree or any kind of architecture degree where you need a license in the US, you will need to jump through extra hoops. It's not impossible for you to do this, but you just need to do a little bit of self-study for the licensing exam in the US, because when you're studying in Europe, they're not necessarily preparing you for the American licensing exam. So that's just something you'll need to take into consideration as well. It is possible. It's just a little bit of extra self-study when you come back. It's unsafe or far from home. Well, far from home, yes, it is. That's definitely true. But travel is getting a lot easier. There's more flights, and it's getting more and more affordable as well. And many cities in Europe are safer than the US. They're very safe for students as well. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about timeline. So what is a good timeline to start this process if you're interested in European schools? So of course, the earlier, the better. So the earlier that you know that this is something that you want to do and pursue, the better it is. You can start the process as early as you want, but I do recommend, starting the full process maybe just in the summer before your junior year, okay? The reason that I suggest this is because it gives you enough time to kind of shape the last 2 years of your high school with any additional courses that you might want to do. So in your junior year, let's say the summer before your junior year, that's a really good time to start researching countries, programs, and requirements, seeing what's out there, seeing what the programs that you're interested in would be offering, what kind of prerequisites you might need, be it AP courses, SAT scores, maybe it could be a really good motivation letter or a little bit of volunteer work. So if you know that in your junior year, you have that time to kind of plan around it and get those requirements before you actually do apply. Like I said, you can start preparing transcripts, test scores if you need, and start attending some info sessions and webinars. So a lot of the schools in Europe offer online webinars, online They offer online webinars and online open houses that you can attend. So that's a good moment to kind of take a look at those. You don't need to travel to Europe to go to these open houses. You can just do them from the comfort of your own home, which is quite great. The only thing is the time difference might be a little bit funky, but look, we work around it. So you can always just wake up earlier one day and attend. Then in your senior year, so in early fall, that's a great time to really finalize your university list and prepare the applications. Applications in Europe, unfortunately, the timelines aren't standard. So they're going to vary significantly by country, by school, by area of study. So, I say the deadlines kind of vary between September and February. So the early bird deadlines would usually start around September, and then some schools will accept applications up until February, okay? In your senior year as well, it's a great time to request any letters, any translations that you might need. So some schools might ask for your transcripts to be translated into Dutch or French or whatever language of the country that you're going to. So that's a really good time to start getting all of that in order because it can take a bit of time. So it's a really good time to get all of that together. In your senior year as well, apply for scholarships, financial aid. If you're planning on using 529 plans or anything related to FAFSA, GI Bill, that's the best time to start checking and making sure that these schools actually work with FAFSA and actually work with 529. So that would be a good moment to do that. And then again, await decisions and respond promptly. After you've been accepted, so spring, summer before college, apply for your student visa and residence permit ASAP. So this can take quite a bit of time, depending on the country that you're going to. Some of them you have to submit plenty of paperwork. It's not complicated. It just takes some time, and it can take time for them to get back to you. So as soon as you get that college acceptance letter, reach out to the international student office of the school and make sure that you have everything that you need to start the process of getting your student visa or residence permit. I would not wait on that. Do that as soon as possible because you don't want to be stuck, a few weeks before and it still hasn't come through. So as soon as you know that you'll be attending that school, start the process. Securing housing as well. So I put university dorm or private apartment. Keep in mind, not all of the universities provide dorms. It's actually a bit of an anomaly if they do. Oftentimes, students need to find their own apartments in the city, in the town that they're living in. So that would be a good time to start looking for that in your senior year, okay? You don't necessarily have to go to the country to find the housing. You can use online student groups, Facebook groups, and try to see if there are any rooms available. Actually, if any of you guys are members of our community, sometimes people are posting spare rooms that they might have as well. So it's a great community for that. But yeah, so that would be a good time to start looking at the housing options. Prepare for departure, make sure you have your travel, your insurance, and that you're all packed appropriately for the weather of the country that you'll be going to. And start connecting with advisors, start connecting with other students that will be attending those schools. There are often student groups online where you can reach out and start chatting to people, making those connections early. Okay, so how admissions work. It's different than the US. Of course, it's going to be, not one size fits all. Like I said earlier, it's going to vary based on the country, on the school, and the area of study. But one thing that is universal is that you need to apply directly into your major. There's no undeclared option. There's no really year of exploratory courses like you would have in the US. So it's really important that you know what you want to study in advance. So in your junior year, kind of start thinking about which areas of study you might be interested in doing and kind of seeing what's out there because you will be applying directly into your major. So yeah. Based mostly on grades, not essays or extracurriculars. So a lot of the admissions in Europe are going to be looking at GPAs. They're going to be looking at grades that you have. Depending on the country, some of them might be looking for AP scores. So Netherlands and Italy, for example, if you're interested in those countries, they're going to want to see 4 AP scores with scores of 4 just to be able to get in, okay? So that's something that you'll need to consider. If you're looking at studying in Ireland, for example, you'll need to get an SAT. And then some other schools in other countries might have some varying requirements. Some of them might have specific tests. So it's, it's very much a not one size fits all, process. Elizabeth, sorry, I'm just going to address this question now. So what if your high school doesn't offer APs? What a lot of our students do, if the schools don't offer APs, is they might do self-study APs through the College Board. So that's something that you can do on your own. and use those to submit with the application. What other students do if the courses don't offer APs, they might try to even find another program that does, they might try to find another program or another country where they wouldn't have to take those AP courses if they don't want to do them on their own. As we mentioned earlier, the deadlines can vary by country and by university. So it's really important to check that. Do community college classes count for AP classes? They usually don't. So if you're doing community college, oftentimes they won't sub out AP requirements. What does sub out AP requirements is 1 year of college courses at a 4-year college. Okay, so that's what they might look at. But again, it's very school dependent. But unfortunately, the community college courses usually aren't accepted to replace the APs. So there's no common app when you're going to be applying. So you have to apply to each school individually. Sometimes you're going to be applying directly with the school themselves, and sometimes you might be applying through a government portal. The application forms are pretty straightforward. They're not super heavy, but it is going to be a little bit to navigate. So definitely try to do it as early as you can. And some programs have minimum GPA or subject requirements. Something that I love, I know I mentioned earlier that I worked with Erasmus for a while, but this is something that I love that's integrated in most European programs. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but Erasmus is essentially a European program that lets students study at multiple universities across Europe during their degree. So if there's an integrated Erasmus programs, it means that your degree actually includes planned study abroad semesters in other countries. So what you can do is, when you're in your degree, you can actually attend another university in another country if it's been approved and do a semester there. So I think that's great. It's a great way to go and explore another country while you're already on your journey abroad. And it's not always just semesters doing classes. Sometimes you can actually go and do an internship in another country. So you can go and get practical experience as well. You'll just need to work with your Erasmus advisor in the school. And you'll be able to take advantage of this thing. And it counts towards your credits, it counts towards your degree. So it's great. It's like a built-in kind of extra experience. So some of the benefits, of course, are to experience even another culture, more languages, build an international network, and boost your CV, especially if you're choosing the internship route rather than the semester abroad route. Sometimes you can spend even 2 semesters abroad. It just depends on your degree. So if this is something that's important to you and you're working with us, let us know and we'll make sure that we find programs with 1 or 2 semesters abroad. If it's something that you're looking for on your own, just check their Erasmus pages on the website and see if this is a program that the school offers. Okay, visas and housing, what you need to know. So I'll just start here with the visas. So most non-EU students need a student visa or a resident permit if you're going to be studying abroad. So if you have EU citizenship, you don't necessarily need to get a student visa, but you will need to get the residence permit for the country that you're going to be living in. If you're an American student or an international student from another country, you'll need to apply for both. Visa application can take several weeks to several months. So some of them, like Italy, for example, is notoriously challenging to get all the paperwork in on time. They're very lengthy. They take quite a bit of time. They want everything in a paper copy by post. There's no emailing of anything. So just keep that in mind as well, that the visa application can take several weeks to several months. So that's why we do recommend that you start the process as soon as possible. Try not to delay anything. If you're sure that this is something you want to do, it'll just save you a lot of headache if you can get everything done early. Requirements vary by country, but generally they're each going to be asking for your acceptance letter from the school, proof of finances, proof of insurance, in some cases, proof of accommodation, okay? So that's usually what you'll need to do. If you don't have accommodation right away, there's usually a workaround. You can work with the International Student Office of the school, and they might be able to issue you with a letter that says that they'll be supporting you with housing, and usually that suffices. But the best resource for that will be to contact the International Student Office of the school, and they'll be able to let you know. Some countries actually allow part-time work during studies, usually about 20 hours per week. So not all countries allow this, but I think Ireland is one that lets you work 20 hours a week. I believe The Netherlands does as well. So if that's something that you need to do, if you need to work part-time to help support yourself while you're in school, make sure that you do your research and make sure that that country actually allows it. And if you do need to work part-time during school, see what kinds of part-time jobs would be available and if you would need to speak a language. Like if you needed to work in a restaurant or in a shop, sometimes if you're in Spain or something, they might require a level of Spanish. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, housing, what you need to know. So options include university dorms. Again, not always, but there are some schools that offer housing in dorms on campus. Private apartments and shared flats, co-living would be the most popular option. There are some countries as well where you can stay with host families. So some host families will actually rent out rooms in their houses. That's usually geared towards younger students, maybe 20 and under, like 18 to 20. But that is an option that you can look at as well. If you prefer to stay with a local family, you can always explore that option. But I'd say the most popular would be the shared flats. Cost varies by city, so usually between $300 to $700 per month for your room, which is still cheaper than a lot of US cities. Some countries will be more expensive, some will be cheaper. It really depends on where you want to go. And again, apply early, start securing your housing early. Again, you don't want to be stressed out a week before going to Europe, so the earlier you can do it, the better. Look for proximity to campus, public transport. Like I said, many students use Facebook groups, university portals, or agencies to find housing. There are some agents that you can use that will help you find housing. It's usually a paid service, but that's something that you can do if you don't want the stress of finding it on your own. Okay, I just wanted to talk about some of my top picks. So these are 3 of my favorite schools at the moment. My list of schools changes pretty often, but at the moment I'm really liking these 3 schools. A lot of my students are liking these 3 schools at the moment as well. We've just had students accepted into all 3 of these for the fall, so I'm really excited for them. But yeah, okay. So Anglo-American University, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this one. This one has really blown up in popularity in the last couple of years, especially with some issues in the Netherlands that I'm going to get to in a minute. I'm noticing a lot of students opting to go to Prague. Okay, it's a private English language university with a liberal arts focus. Some of their more popular programs are business, psychology, international relations. They're located in the heart of Prague, which is a vibrant and affordable European city. So this school is really great. It has a small student body as well and small class sizes. So you're able to really get a lot of attention. You're able to learn. You have access to your professors, which I really like. The small student body is nice. Some students don't necessarily want that. They might want to be on a big international campus, but a lot of students do appreciate the smaller student body. I know I would myself, so I think it's a great school. And yeah, it's pretty, it's affordable. Prague is a stunning city, so it's a really nice option. So I definitely recommend you guys to check out Anglo-American University if you can. Toulouse Business School is another popular one that I really like working with. So it's called Toulouse Business School, but they also have a campus in Barcelona. So this is a great option. It's a multi-campus school. So you can actually do, let's say, a year in Paris, 2 years in Barcelona. You can kind of customize where you want to go, which I think is kind of cool. They're known for really good business management, marketing, and international programs and internships. So they have some really great ways to build your network globally. They have really good contacts, really good quality of education. I would definitely recommend looking at this one as well if you're interested in business or management. It does have a slightly higher price tag than some other schools, but it's a very amazing experience. Like, I've never spoken to a student that didn't like their time at TBS. It's definitely a fan favorite. And then UCC. So I might be biased because I did live in Cork for a few years, but it's just a stunning school. It's a beautiful campus. So this one's based in Cork in Ireland. They have a wide range of bachelor's programs in STEM, arts, business. A lot of students actually, so I'm Canadian, and a lot of my students that wanted to study dentistry and medicine actually went to UCC because they were able to come back to Canada quite easily. So they have some really good science programs, lots of great arts programs, education programs. The programs at UCC are usually 4 years instead of 3, so it would be more of like the American style, but I think that's okay. Like I said, they have a beautiful campus. It's just outside of the city center with loads of cafes and everything that you can walk to, which is great. And Ireland offers a great English-speaking getaway to Europe. So if you want to be in an English-speaking country that's still in the EU, Ireland is the pick. Okay, like I said earlier, I was just going to touch on some changes to English taught programs in the Netherlands. I'm not sure how many of you guys are aware of this. I've had a strategy call with you. I've probably rambled on about this a little bit, but I just wanted to let you guys know. So the Netherlands used to be like our top destination where we would send students. Everyone wanted to go to the Netherlands. And of course, it's a beautiful city, great public transit, great transit links to other countries, and really great programs and education. So they were well known for their, amazing academic programs. But recently, due to a housing crisis and a change in government, they've decided they want to cut international students coming into the country. Okay, so how they're doing this is they're taking programs that used to be 100% taught in English and now adding some element of Dutch or cutting the programs completely. Okay, so this means that full English immersion is being phased out in many programs. So I'm just telling everyone to be very cautious when you're looking at the Netherlands, because this started to come into effect in 2025, so it's slowly starting. So some programs that my students might have been looking at 1 year ago are now no longer available in English, okay? They're only available in Dutch or part Dutch. So I'm telling students not to get too attached to programs in the Netherlands right now, just because it's so up in the air. We're not 100% sure what's happening or which programs are going to be affected. So just if you're looking at the Netherlands, keep an eye on that and monitor the programs. And I would definitely suggest to look at other countries as well. Like if you're planning on applying to, let's say, 5 universities, maybe only select 1 or 2 that are Dutch and try to expand and get a few other programs in other countries. You can always look at Belgium, which has a lot of great schools as well, similar kind of geographical area. They speak Dutch there as well. So it's, if you're interested in that, some students are looking at Belgium instead. Just to keep in mind. Okay. And then if you're interested in working with us, if you're interested in getting more information, you can always work with us on a one-to-one basis or on a DIY basis. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of our services that we offer, but we do offer full service packages where we'd actually curate a list of schools for you or for your son or daughter or whoever's planning on attending. So we'd get them to fill out a really detailed intake form, and then we'd meet with them one-to-one. And based on what we've learned from that, we will actually curate a list of anywhere from 3 to 8 programs for them. We'll let you know what the content of the course is, what you need to do to apply, any other information about the city or town or school itself, just so that you don't need to go and do that research on your own. So we'll do all the research for you and match you with the best possible schools for you. With our packages as well, you have access to our online materials. So we have online courses that you can access. We have a database that you can access where we've actually compiled all of the English taught programs in Europe. You can browse through on your own, see what's out there. You can browse by filter, by area of study, by country, by tuition, and actually kind of build your own list as well on top of what we've curated for you. And depending on which level of package you're getting, there are actually more consultations. So some of the packages actually have up to 3 consultations with us. So we can talk about anything related to your schools and needs. So I would ask you guys to take a look at our website, see what our packages are. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And you can use code YESUEU for $800 off any of our packages if you decide to go ahead with that today. Okay, so we're on our Q&A. So thanks so much, first of all, for listening to me. I hope it clarified a little bit. There's so much more to go over. This was just a bit of an overview, but like I said, we can take some questions now. And then if you guys wanted to book a strategy call with me for more specific things, we can always do that as well, okay? So let me just have a look at the chat box. Okay. What if high school doesn't offer APs? Okay, Paige, are there fees for applying? Yes, there are usually fees for applying. So it depends on the school and country. It could be anywhere from $50, it could be up to $300, but yes, there are usually some fees for applying. Sometimes it's free, but you can expect to pay a small fee to apply. Are schools in Europe mostly semester, quarter, or trimester based? So they're usually semester. So you have a fall semester and a winter semester. Just sidebar on this as well. Usually when you're applying to schools in Europe, they only accept applicants for the fall semester. It's very uncommon to be admitted in a winter semester. There are a handful of programs and a handful of schools that offer a winter semester entry, but it's usually going to be in the fall. Like I said, their programs are very structured there, and they're not really set up for students starting in the winter. They want everyone to start in the fall. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. There are some exceptions, but it's usually going to be fall starts only. Can you address housing shortages in European countries and cities for students that I have heard of? So the two countries I'd say with the biggest housing crisis at the moment would be the Netherlands and Ireland. They seem to be having the biggest housing crises as well. But it's, it's happening everywhere, even in some parts of Spain. Like if you're looking at Barcelona, there are some housing crisis. A lot of big cities in Italy as well are having a hard time with housing crises. Eastern Europe, not so much. That's why students are starting to go over there, because it's easier to find housing. It's a bit less stress. It's cheaper. So that's why I mentioned Prague. They don't seem to be having as much of an issue as the rest of Europe. So a lot of students are going there. Just Western Europe and the big cities tend to be having these housing crises. Okay, Kelly Land, what's a residence permit? So it's basically just a card that you're going to get. So depending on which country you're in, you get like a residence permit card, and it just helps you access services. Okay, so if you need to go to the doctor, or if you need to get a driver's license or do anything, having that residence permit is like your legal permit that lets you stay there, and you can use it sometimes to access public services. You're also going to need to show that residence permit every time you come in and out of the country. So your EU residence card, you'll have to show it with your passport, just to prove that you have residence there. They're usually valid for 1 year. You get one as soon as you get into the country. It's pretty straightforward. You just need to renew it every year. Okay, Jen, regarding the AP scores for admissions to programs in the Netherlands, how is that handled when a student is taking the AP courses senior year and doesn't get scores until July? Does that impact admissions and getting the visa? So Jen, regarding AP courses, and if you're going to be getting the scores later, what a lot of schools do is they offer a conditional acceptance. Okay, so you would get acceptance to that school, and then as soon as you get your scores back, you send them to the school and they give you this conditional, they give you the full acceptance letter. You can speak with them as well and just let them know your situation and let them know that you're worried about, visa timelines and stuff like that. And oftentimes they'll be able to help you with the visa letter. So they might give you a conditional acceptance, which will let you apply for the visa. But you would need to speak directly to the school because not all of them do this. So you would need to make sure that the school does this, okay? Are there Shananda, are there universities that can transfer from US university to finish the senior year there? Unfortunately, not really. It's very rare for European schools to accept transfer students. There are some exceptions, again, usually in business programs, but any kind of public university in Europe, or any local university in Europe wants you to do the whole program there. Okay, so it's very, it's very, very rare that you would be able to find a school that would let you transfer, especially in the senior year. If anything, it might be a year, 1 or 2 years of credits that they might let you transfer over, but I've seen it maybe once or twice, and it was a business program. So yeah, it's unfortunately not that great for transferring over if you wanted to do that. And then, yeah, similar to the transfer question, if a student decides they don't want to be international and want to transfer back to the US, do the credits usually transfer? Coming back, American schools actually do tend to take the European credits a little bit more, but again, it's very school dependent, so it's something that you would need to check. Are there any specific AP subjects that universities are looking for, such as language, math, science? And this is going to depend on the program. So if your student is going to be applying to a science-based program, they're going to want to see science-based APs. If they're applying to a languages-based program, they're going to want to see language-based APs. So it really depends on the program, and it's not one size fits all. So you'll need to really take a look at at the programs and what those schools are looking for. Okay, there's quite a few questions here. I'm going to stop here, but I am going to get back to you guys by email. I'll have a look at this later, and I'll get back to you guys by email. And like I said, so I should get back to everyone by tomorrow lunchtime, if that's okay. And then if you have any further questions, we can always follow up by email. I can also share with you guys my calendar to book a one-to-one kind of consultation with me if you wanted to go into anything a little bit more in depth, okay? All right. So I hope this helped everyone. I know it's a lot of information to take in, but it's a good starting point, just gives you guys a little bit of an idea of what everything looks like. I'll be in touch with several of you by email, and otherwise I hope that some of you book some calls with me or reach out to me. And otherwise I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and thanks so much for attending today, okay? Bye.